Halloween Ends is directed by David Gordon Green. This is a horror crime thriller movie. This is the third installment in David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. Halloween Ends stars Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, Andy Matichak as Allison Nelson, Kylie Richards as Lindsay Wallace, Will Patton as Sheriff Frank Hawkins, and both Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers the Shape. This movie is rated R for bloody horror violence and gore, language throughout, and some sexual references. This movie is most certainly not for children. I would say 20 years of age and older, but no one below that. This movie has a runtime of 1 hour and 51 minutes. Halloween Ends was released in theaters in the United States on Friday, October 14th, 2022. I saw this movie in theaters. It has been 4 years since the events of Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. Laurie Strode is living with her granddaughter Allison and is finishing writing her book about her life. Michael Myers hasn't been seen since Halloween night in 2018. After allowing the specter of Michael Myers to determine and drive her reality for decades, Laurie Strode has decided to liberate herself from the fear and rage of all that and embrace life. But after a certain event that took place on Halloween night in 2019, it ignites a cascade of violence and terror that will force Laurie to finally confront the evil that she can't control and face Michael Myers the Shape one last time for a final showdown. That is the summary synopsis of the movie. Here are my negatives. The story. There are a lot of problems with the story in this movie. First off, we don't even see Michael Myers for a good almost hour into the film. The film follows Laurie's, Allison's, and Lindsay's story, but the main meat of the plot of the story is about a kid named Couric Cunningham and his background and all the stuff that has been happening to him. I mean, this is not what I, nor a whole lot of fans, had in mind and wanted for this film. David Gordon Green and his team of writers completely botched this movie. First off, I don't care about this kid, Couric Cunningham. I care about the final showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. We do get that in the movie, but not until the very, very end, and it lasts all of maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and that's it. Okay, this is a Halloween movie, and Halloween movies are supposed to feature Michael Myers the Shape, because he is the face of the franchise, and we don't see him until almost an hour into this movie. Throughout the entire movie, we see him all of maybe 8 or 9 minutes. Then, as far as Michael goes, he is limping around like an old man who can barely get up. I mean, in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, he was moving around and killing, being pretty spry. Yes, he got his ass beaten up in Halloween Kills, but he still got back up and killed Tommy Doyle, Lee Brackett, Cameron Elam, Lonnie Elam, Marion Chambers, and the rest of the mob that was after him, and then killed Karen in the Myers house in Judith's room. So, I would say he's still got it. But in this film, when we see him the first few times, they make him out to be this old man in a Halloween mask that can barely move until he starts killing again, which, the way I interpret it, made it look like he was getting his power back up and gets his strength back. I guess that's what was happening. I wasn't sure. Let's talk about what they did between Corey and Michael. When Michael first meets Corey, after dragging him unconscious into the sewer tunnels and after being knocked off the bridge by the band bullies, Corey starts to make his way out of the tunnel after waking up and running into Michael on the other side of a wall. Michael reaches through a hole in the wall and grabs Corey by the neck and almost kills him. Then Michael looks him in the eyes and sees his pain and suffering and all that he has been through, and to my understanding passes some of his evil into him, which is when Corey begins his downward spiral of evil and begins killing people. Then, the morning of Halloween, October 31st, he goes back into the sewer tunnel and he literally manhandles Michael and makes Michael look like a helpless old man. Then he steals Michael's mask and leaves the tunnel. Okay, not no, but hell no. Michael, the first time he encountered Corey, should have sliced him from neck to nuts. I can't believe what they did to Michael in this movie when he and Corey are together. Then when Corey kills the nurse and doctor, he follows Corey around like he is Corey's sidekick or vice versa. Plus, that should have never been allowed to happen. Corey stealing Michael's mask from him and then walking around town dressed like Michael, killing people. They should have put a stop to that in the writer's room and when they were writing the movie. Hell, they even did to Corey what they did to Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 5 and gave him the whole psychic bond connection thing. Though it's not as direct in this movie, but it's noticeable, and that was very irritating. This movie, in my opinion, is not a Halloween movie because of how little we see Michael. And to those who say that Michael wasn't in the original movie very long or very much, I say this back to you because director John Carpenter knew how to utilize the character and spread him out throughout the entire movie. That way we see him every few minutes, and when he was not on screen, you felt his presence in the scene he was not in because you knew he could be hiding anywhere. This movie does not turn into a Halloween movie until about the last 30 minutes of the film. Characters were underutilized in this film, especially Lindsay Wallace. She should have been involved in the final fight with Michael and Laurie, and Allison should have been in the final fight as well, and those two were not there. Why was Lindsay not shown in the final procession when they were disposing of Michael's body? Everyone who was still alive and survived Michael in 2018 and in Kills was there, including Julian, the little boy Vicky was babysitting in 2018, and Sandra Dickerson, the cemetery lady who Michael stabs through the neck with a broken light fixture in Halloween Kills. But Lindsay was nowhere to be found during the procession and the disposal of his body. Officer and Deputy Hawkins is back and has some great scenes with Laurie, especially the cute grocery store scene where they both are flirting with each other, but he doesn't have many scenes either. Hawkins should have had a huge significant part and also been in the final fight with Michael as well, after all he had been through with the Shape. Even Laurie Strode herself was underutilized and very underappreciated in this movie. But when she was on screen, she was great, and I really liked what they did with her character, but it is not the direction I would have taken her character. I felt Allison was not appreciated in this movie either. I felt they just had her back for this film just to be Corey's love interest, and that was it. They just wasted her character. Corey Cunningham was great and a very interesting character, but he should not have been in this movie. He should have been in a movie just about him and not Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. He could have been in some offshoot movie down the road, like I said, or in a different movie altogether that has nothing to do with the Halloween franchise. Some of the dialogue was even bad as well. Some of the lines you just listen to and think they could have worded that better or just not said it at all. One of the things that I absolutely hated about this movie is Haddonfield. I mean, if you look at it and pay very close attention, you notice how dirty, disgusting, and run down it looks. I said I would never talk about politics on this channel, and I mean that, but all I'm going to say is this, is that Haddonfield has gone to the slums, and it looks like a real-life Democrat liberal-run city that is dirty and filthy with homeless people living everywhere and junk and trash all over the place. I mean, it was just disgusting to look at. Not a visually appealing place. I wouldn't live there. And the four band kids who were the bullies, I mean, come on, give me a break. I have never met any band kids who were bullies or jerks. They should have made the bullies high school jocks like football or basketball players. That was just weird and not needed in this movie. One thing about the movie I really didn't like because it was dangerous for the people watching the movie who have a history of epilepsy or seizures. There's a sequence that takes place in the bar where Lindsay works, and they're having a Halloween party, and there's loud music playing and people dancing, and there's this white strobe light that keeps flashing on and off super fast. I had to look away because it was bothering me, and I don't have a history of seizures or epilepsy. But to anyone who does, close your eyes and turn your head away from the screen during this sequence because it messed with me, so it'll probably mess with you. And finally, I hated the bluish, purplish text font used during the opening credits sequence. They used the font from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which again was another thing that was unnecessary for this movie because Halloween 3 is not associated with the rest of the Halloween franchise or Halloween movies. So why use it? Don't! Those are all my negatives. Here are my positives for this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis was great in her final performance as Laurie Strode. I just wish her character would have had more screen time and had a more epic final battle. But I really appreciated Laurie in the movie, even though it is not the way I would have written her character. Once again, thank you to Jamie Lee Curtis for 44 years of this amazing, tough, and awesome character of Laurie Strode that you gave to us. Thank you, Jamie Lee Curtis. Thank you. Thank you. One thing I liked that they did do with Laurie Strode is they had her writing a book or memoir about her life experiences with Michael from 1978 and the aftermath. I liked that they had her doing that. I thought that was really cool. The special and visual effects in the film look great and are amazing. Christopher Nelson did a great job in this entire trilogy of bringing great effects to the screen, most of which in this film and the other two are practical effects. If there was any CGI used in this movie, which there probably was somewhere, it blends in so well that I couldn't spot it even if I tried. The effects in this movie are amazing. The score music in this film is so awesome. That is one of the great things about this movie is the score music. Once again, the score for Halloween Ends was composed and conducted by John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies. We of course get the main Halloween theme, and we hear some of the score music from Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. There's a lot of new tracks in this movie that I like as well, and especially towards the end of the film, the score was phenomenal. One of the best things about this movie that I really appreciated is there is no woke, liberal, LGBTQ plus junk in this movie. Or if there was any, I didn't spot it. So at least I didn't have that to deal with in this movie, which was a welcomed treat. Okay, those are all my positives. Now it's grading time. I'm going to give the final chapter in David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy, Halloween Ends, a very low performing D-. Here are my final thoughts. I did not like this movie, but I did not hate this movie either. There are some things about it I like, but it was mainly Laurie Hawkins, the final fight between Michael and Laurie at the end of the movie, and the score. I just wish the fight would have been longer and more epic. With this being the final chapter of this trilogy, this movie had so much potential to be a high-octane, intense, in-your-face, epic horror thriller movie. Instead, it was a huge mess. There were just way too many cooks in the kitchen, and David Gordon Green should not have introduced a new character into the third act of this trilogy. I wish this movie would have been better. As a huge fan of Michael Myers and the Halloween movies, I was crushed and disappointed at what this movie turned out to be. Will I be adding this movie to my collection? I probably will buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD, since I have Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, just so I have it and will have the completed trilogy. But it's probably one of those Halloween movies I will watch once every 2 or 3 years or so. I will say this movie made me very angry. Halloween Ends falls off a fucking cliff. Out of all 3 movies in this trilogy, Halloween 2018 is the best one. I like Halloween Kills, but they should have stopped after 2018. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to say good night, God bless, I love all of you, I will see you all in the next video, and happy Halloween.